Welcome back everybody to another Motobob video where today you join me in the beautiful Barcelona for the launch of this incredible looking bike, the new BMW CE04. Now I've done a mix of town riding and sort of mountain roads up at the back of Barcelona today, and it's been a really good chance to get to know this new electric scooter. And so in this video I'm going to tell you my 10 favourite features that I found out from riding it today. But before we get started, a massive thanks to Pando Moto for sponsoring the channel. They make gear that's perfect for city riding because it looks great on the bike, it's protective, but as soon as you get off the bike, there's no need to get changed because it just looks good. I'm wearing their Husky jacket today, their Robbie Arm jeans, and then also their awesome Onyx gloves. So if you like any of the products you see in this video, check out the links in the description for more information. Now, anytime I review electric bikes on this channel, the comments that come up the most frequently are questions around range and charging times. And I think BMW have done a great job of appropriately speccing this bike for city riding. So it's an 8.9 kilowatt hour battery that's slung under the bike. You get 11 of these in the BMW iX or i4, they're electric cars, but just one of them is enough for this bike. Now that isn't huge if you compare it to other electric motorcycles, but with it being a city bike, you do get decent opportunity for regeneration when you're coasting or slowing down, and so you'll get 130 kilometers or 80 miles of range for a typical charge. For most people who are using it for commuting, 40 miles each way, I think that's pretty decent, and you can obviously charge it up while you're at work if you so wish. All of the bikes as standard ship with the domestic charger for that market, and that'll do a full charge in 4 hours 20. So if you do garage it overnight and then you plug it in, obviously it's going to be ready to go the next day. If you do want to charge even quicker, there's an 850 quid upgrade to get fast charging, and that'll give you a full charge in 1 hour and 45 minutes, or more realistically I think 20% up to 80% charge, so 60% of the charge added, it will do that in 45 minutes. So like I say, not the biggest range of any bike I've reviewed so far, but appropriately spec for the usage, and obviously that keeps the weight down if you don't put a massive battery in, and also helps to keep the cost down. Now number 2 is the way it delivers that power. So the power figures don't sound massive, it's 42 horsepower peak, 62 newton meters of peak torque, but it's the way it delivers it as with all electrics. So a lot of that torque is available right from 0 RPM, and it's smooth and there's no gear shift, so when you do get on the throttle, especially when you put it in the more aggressive riding modes, it really does fly, and it feels much quicker than a 42 horsepower bike that weighs 230 kilograms. What's important in town is getting away from the traffic. When you're at traffic lights and there's lots of buses and lorries and cars around you, you just want to put that 5 or 10 meter space between you and the traffic when the lights go green, so you feel a little bit safer, and it does that with ease. BMW claim 2.6 seconds, they say, for 0 to 50 kilometers per hour, so roughly 30 miles per hour. And yeah, that's where it really excels, down at those city speeds. As you get up to the top speed of 120 kilometers per hour, so over 70 miles an hour, so it's suitable for highways. But yeah, it doesn't feel quite as punchy up there, but around town, there's definitely enough there to put a big grin on your face. Now, when you look at this bike, agility probably isn't the first thing that springs to mind because it looks so long, and it is. It's 1,675 millimeters in the wheelbase. That's longer than most regular motorcycles. A GS, for example, is about 10 centimeters shorter. But there are a couple of factors that make it really handy around town. The first being how low it holds its weight. So it does look long and low, even in its sort of fully formed package that we've got here. But last night at the press briefing, we actually saw a cutaway model where you could see inside the bike. And when you look at where the battery's held, it really is right under the bike. It's in an aluminium case down there with fins on it, so it's air cooled. It gets a bit of airflow under the bike. But yeah, all this space here, that's just a big storage compartment, where you can stick a lid in, which is really practical, but it also means there's no weight to it there. It really doesn't feel like a 230 kilogram bike, not in the way that when people ride petrol bikes that are 230 kilograms and they review them and they say the weight disappears as soon as you're moving. Even at a standstill, this thing just feels so planted. When you're doing launches like this, you have a lot of photography and video stops, so you have to do U-turns and sort of maneuver the bike, and quite often on bigger bikes you have a few heart in mouth moments where you're reaching down, but the seat's low, the weight's low. I haven't had a single scare all day. That translates into really nice, easygoing handling when you're on the road, and when you're filtering and picking your way through traffic, as we've been doing in town all day. It's just easy peasy to ride, for want of a better word. The other thing is the narrowness. So at the back there, typically on a petrol scooter, they were talking about this in the design briefing last night, you'll have a big engine on the side of the swing arm on one side of the bike, you've got an exhaust on the other side, and then you need space inside the body of the bike there to have an airbox and petrol and all that kind of thing. But with this, a lot of that stuff's gone. You know, the motor is here, battery under here, some electronics in here and at the front, but really this back end is super narrow. I mean, probably less than 30 centimeters at the wheel there. So when you're filtering and making some of those tight turns, you really never feel like you're going to clip the back end, and it just makes for a bike that's super easy to ride in town. But I guess that's just one half of what a bike like this should be able to do. I mean, if you were purely riding in town, you'd go for something shorter and more compact. This sort of bike is for commuting from out of town or from the suburbs, and you might take in a bit of twisty B road or straight A roads or a little bit of motorway to get into town in the first place. To show off its capabilities in that respect, we've done a variety of riding today, and I've got to say, it does handle pretty well. Look, it's no substitute for a regular motorcycle in terms of fun and character, but as one part of what it can do, on the twisty mountain roads we did today, it really can drive out of the corners and barrel into them. The suspension's good, you've got twin 4-pot radially mounted brakes at the front there, the braking response feels really decent. It's got that strong low to mid-range pull that you get with electric bikes, and then with the dynamic riding mode, that really does bring it to life. So yeah, not quite a replacement for proper good motorcycling, but I will say for quicker rural riding, it has impressed me today. Now clearly a bike like this has got to be comfortable as well, and it delivers in spades. You've got this nice long bench seat. There are a few different options, I think maybe 6 or 7 different seats you can spec, but nice and long so you can move around and plenty of space for a passenger. A couple of foot positions, so naturally you might have a sort of mid position here, but you can also get your feet forward for cruising. It's got a comfortable handlebar position and then plenty of wind protection around the legs here from the fairing. A couple of optional upgrades that you might want to look into are heated grips, which, you know, if you're riding year round are an absolute must. The bench seat, I mean, it's fine for a few hours, but it is quite firm, so I'll be looking at that comfort seat with the heating elements as well to keep you warm. And then also there is a high windscreen. We haven't had chance to test it out today, none of the demo bikes have had it, but a little bit more wind protection on this top half would be quite nice. The basics, you know, the riding position and the sort of lower protection and protection from spray on the road are really, really good, and in Barcelona this is absolutely fine. It's just that you might want to upgrade to a few of those things if you live somewhere like London with its rubbish weather. Now I mentioned this storage compartment as a big plus, and it's worth a quick demo. So you've got a button here that opens it up, and it's tied into the keyless ignition system, so when it's parked up and turned off it's locked, of course. And yeah, with a full face helmet like this is a Shoei GT Air 2, so like a sports touring helmet. It won't go in that way. I think really it's been designed for city lids and open face helmets, but if you turn it on its side it will slide in. Now, not ideal because you don't want to scuff up the side of your helmet, so you might want to put like a foam pad in there, or maybe use your helmet bag when you do pop it in. But yeah, as long as your lid fits, it's a really nice feature, and it's pretty well thought out. So it's got a nice little gas damper there so that it doesn't slam open. It's got a little light inside so that you can see what you're doing in there, and also It's been designed so that when you're sat on the bike with your leg up here, you can still get in and out of it. If you didn't want to stash your helmet in there, you could also use it for sandwiches, a laptop perhaps, or even the charging cable if you do want to charge when you're out and about. Now on this bike, fortunately, you get this brilliant TFT display, which I've seen on other BMWs recently. So the RT that I reviewed, the R18 Transcontinental and Bagger, they get it as well. And it really is, I've said it in those reviews as well, it's the best TFT dash on the motorcycle market at the moment, mainly because of the size. So it's 10.25 inches, which is far bigger than anything else offered on the market. You can either leave it as one big dash where you've just got basic riding information like speed and range and level of charge. You can have a full map if you've connected to your phone, or you can split screen, so you can have nav on one side and then the main riding information over to the left. It's one of the standout features of the bike, and it makes it really easy to navigate the menus and stuff because they're just so big and clearly designed. And also I really do like, it's taken me a while to get used to it over the years, but the jog wheel that you get on BMWs and the menu button is dead easy to navigate. Now the phone integration is another great feature as well, so you can do media playback through the switchgear and dash, you can take phone calls and messages, and the nav as well, which I think is probably the main use case for most people. Now they've actually designed a great little stash down here. Again, it locks. It's also splash proof to keep your phone nice and dry, and it's actively ventilated, they call it, which means it's got a fan. There's a USB-C port here, so you can charge your phone while it's in there, and obviously if it's a hot day with this black plastic, it probably would get quite warm, so it is an important feature so that your phone doesn't overheat. But yeah, the main thing that they've got right with this is on previous bikes that I've tried from BMW with a phone stash, my big iPhone 11 Pro Max in a case didn't fit, and I'd have to take the phone out of the case to put it in the phone stash. Thankfully, they've changed the design here. It basically extends with a spring at the back to accommodate whatever size of phone you got, and it fits easily. Even with a chunkier case than this, it would fit. And I mean, tech-wise, that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's bags of it on this bike. As standard, you get 3 riding modes. So you get Eco, which has the maximum regenerative braking so that you extend the battery life as long as possible. And also it gives you quite a gentle throttle response. There's Rain, which also gets a gentle throttle response, but less of the engine braking effect because you don't want the back wheel squirming around when you're off the throttle on a greasy, wet road. Road mode has a more lively throttle response, and again, not that much engine braking or regen. And then the optional dynamic mode has the full road throttle response, and then almost the same amount of engine braking effect as the Eco mode. And that means that you can almost ride it like a one-pedal car. This idea that you just press the throttle to go, and then as you lift it, brakes using the sort of regen effect. It's the same here. You can pretty much, unless you need to stop quickly, just ride it on the throttle in that mode. ASC, or Active Stability Control, I think, which is their name for traction control, comes as standard, and that works both if you spin the back wheel up. Let's say you're on a loose surface, if it starts to spin, it will cut the power to keep it in check, but also that regen and engine braking effect, if it detects that it's going to lock up, it'll ease that as well. You can upgrade to dynamic traction control, which makes it lean sensitive, so it'll apply it in a way that's appropriate if the bike's banked over. Same for ABS, so you get normal ABS as standard, but ABS Pro, which is lean sensitive, as an upgrade. Same for the headlights, so LED lighting all round, including some really neat integrated tail lights there, and you can get Headlight Pro, which again, lean sensitive and illuminates the inside of a turn so you can see through it better at night. There's also options for the hello and goodbye light animation, which I don't really get, but the follow me home feature does make more sense. So when you switch the bike off, when you pull up at home, you can hit the headlight button and it'll keep the lights on for a bit to help you, find the keyhole with your key or get the garage door open. It's keyless and it's got the steering lock integrated as well, so that's nice and convenient. You can just leave the key in your pocket. It's got a reverse feature, so you hold this R button on the left switchgear and apply the throttle and it'll back the bike up. You've got the SOS button as an optional extra as well, so if you did have an accident, you can press that and it'll get in touch with BMW, who can alert the emergency services. And it's got a 12-volt socket under here as well, so if you did have a heated jacket for those really cold commutes, you can just plug it straight in here. Genuinely, this tech package is you know, top notch. It's all the best bits that you get on their premium motorcycles in an electric scooter. But I think the thing that I love the most about this bike is the design and styling. I mean, from a design perspective, there's lots of thoughtful little touches and smart ideas. Things like the side stand actually activates parking brakes so that it won't roll away, because obviously you can't leave it in gear. Things like the brake lights come on when you engine brake, so obviously you can slow down quite quickly with that. You're not applying the brakes, but it knows that it's slowing quickly, and so keeps you safe by putting the brake lights on. But more than that, it's the visual design. I love how bold they've been with it and created something very futuristic looking. You know, Barcelona's absolutely rammed full of scooters, so it takes something pretty special to get someone to stop and look at it. But that's definitely happened on multiple occasions today, that people have stopped to take pictures of it on their phone and have a good look and ask some questions, and it really is a striking thing, and they've clearly designed it as a bit of a statement piece, and I think they've done exactly that. This is the sort of Porsche Taycan or Tesla of the two-wheel world now, really, and it's got the price tag to match. 11,700 is pricey for a practical commuter. There are certainly cheaper petrol scooters out there, but as something to own, to get you around in real comfort and style and tech, and as something that's a bit of a talking point and a bit of a statement, yeah, they've definitely hit the brief. As always though, I'd love to know what you think of it down in the comments below. Let me know. Also, let me know if you've got any questions. I'll try and get back to you. And if you're new here and you want to see more videos like this, hit subscribe, and I'll see you next time.